I remembered how naive I had been feeling, thinking there wouldn't be any tension between us. I guess I was wrong in thinking that we were stronger than money. I had been incredibly naive. In contrast, when the last patrol car drove away from my view, I felt a weird kind of emptiness wash over me. The adrenaline from the confrontation started giving way to a dull ache in my chest, and it was rather uncomfortable. Mark said, "It's over," but the way he said it told me he did not believe it. "Yeah," I answered, my voice trailing off. "It's over." Still, I understood that what I had said was not entirely the truth. There is going to be a whole new set of legal challenges. There would be trials, investigations, new witnesses, and more evidence to display. The whole thing was going to take a very long time, and, to some degree, I loathed each part of it. But for now, I knew I had completed what I set out to do. I took the first step towards controlling my life again. For the next few days, it was a phenomenon of media coverage, legal appointments, and thousands of phone calls. The story was covered almost immediately. Dead man found alive, and turns out to be his family's biggest scandal. Reporters pitched tents around my apartment waiting for something, anything to be said. I didn't give them a word. The police investigations brought to light things I had never even thought possible. My family not only created an elaborate plan for my death, but they were actively withdrawing money from my accounts for months leading up to the crash. Nate was embezzling significant amounts from one of my companies, while my parents were washing the remaining funds through poorly masked real estate schemes. Just thinking about the magnitude of their betrayal was shocking. I was starting to feel like I never knew them at all. And yet, even in the midst of all the chaos, a part of me wanted to understand why. This was particularly intriguing. What was the motivation conceived behind their actions? Was the incentive purely financial, or did there exist something greater? Had I really missed the internal conflict escalating within each of them for numerous years? Or had they always perceived me as nothing but an obstacle in their path to success? It was a question I will never see answered. I attempted to pacify myself by saying it was my choice to never accept it. Most days, I chose to remain cloistered in a room in my apartment. The blaring cars, heavy industries, and loud crowd did not please me. My world outside of the apartment was nothing less than a relaying curse. And it did seem like a curse after all, because the recollections of money I once adored had truly polluted everything around me. It transformed every member of my family into individuals which I could not even recognize. People who were ready to sell their morals in exchange for a simple portion of respect that was never owed to them. A few weeks after the arrests, a letter arrived to my mailbox sent by my mother. Upon receiving it, my heart sank looking at the envelope with faint writing of ink which reminded me of the woman I regarded to be a hero. I was nervous to open it. I didn't want to see the excuses or the lies she had concocted. But part of me still desperately wanted to believe in the family that once existed, so I gave in. The letter had only a few paragraphs and was rather short. "Jake, I know you despise us, and I know you will probably never forgive what we have done. But it's important that you know this. We were looking for a way out. Nate, your father, and I, well, we never intended for it to reach this level. We planned to fix what needed fixing once we had the money in our possession. We thought it would be possible. I am sorry. There are so many things that I should apologize for, and I know that it will mean little to you. But it's crucial that you understand this. I am sorry. You have always loved me, and I have always loved you. I hope that one day, you have the ability to forgive us. Mom." The anger coursed through me like a raging river as I crumpled the letter in my fist, piecing together what I had just read. Forgive them? After everything they had put me through? After they tried to kill me? The notion was laughable, to say the least. But the wrath subsided and was supplanted with something far more sinister. I was no longer furious. I was desensitized. I did not feel it necessary to yell or throw a tantrum. I did not feel the need to get any sort of revenge either. I was simply finished. They had robbed me of everything and now they were suffering. But forgiving them? That was a thought I was not sure if I would ever be able to have. Not after everything that happened. Months went by. The trial for my family turned out to be a media circus. They were charged with conspiracy to commit murder and a laundry list of other crimes including fraud and embezzlement. The evidence was compelling, and the paparazzi enjoyed every moment of it. My brother Nate, the perennial arrogant one, tried to play the victim on the stand by claiming he had been brainwashed by our parents. No one believed him, unfortunately. Ultimately, they were all found guilty. My father got the harshest sentence, with Nate and my mother close behind him. They had made a mockery of their lives for money, only to spend decades in prison regretting their actions. I've moved on. I sold off a good number of the properties they tried grabbing from me, donated a chunk of the money, and removed myself from anything related to my family's surname. Yet the marks still stayed. Sometimes, I would wonder if I could have done something differently. Was there a time when I could have seen it coming? Did I have the power to prevent it before everything got out of hand? No answer came to me. Months after the trial had ended, I received another letter. This one was from Nate. He was locked up in prison, serving time, but for whatever reason, he was desperate to contact me. Shame on me, Jake. I'm not trying to harm you intentionally. Please allow me to explain myself. I'm willing to talk because we are still family. I ripped it to shreds before reading the rest. That word holds no meaning for me anymore. Nothing had healed itself. The trust was broken into pieces, and my family's dark deeds never left my mind. In the end, carving the distance was all that was achieved, creating a veil between me and my previous life, one I neither recognized or wanted to be a part of. It's coming up to a year since the trial. While the world is continuing forward, all I do is relive my memories over and over again. My family who was meant to support me, rotted in jail serving time for something that I have yet to fully comprehend. The trust they broke is unimaginable. But what consumes me most is why did they do it? I did my best to not think about them. What I did instead was try to meld my life into the quiet life I had access to. The monetary resources were still plentiful and untouched. However, there were accounts that had no moderated access. But that wasn't what consumed me. It was the feeling where family should have been. Blood thicker than water. The phrase I have heard my whole life. But now, it seems the blood that brought us together has tainted everything instead. I waited months to receive a call, and one night I finally did. The call was from an unknown number, and at first, I thought it was a spam call, so I almost let it go to voicemail. Something told me to pick up, however. "Jake?" the voice said. I couldn't believe it. "Mom," I replied, completely shocked. I knew that voice all too well, and it somehow knew me too. I thought the call successfully connected, and to an extent it did. But I never thought I would hear my mom after such a lengthy period of no communication. Silent, ignored sounds made me continue to keep this overextended conversation hopeful. There are millions of things I want to share, but sometimes words do a horrible job. Those tasks would have to be paid off differently. "Stepmom, are you okay?" To this question, she finally answered. "Yes, Jake." Stepmom is put perfectly. At this point, I wanted nothing more than to start off where we left our conversation. Yet the question remained, what could I rationally say to make sense after so long? "Come on, talk to me then, please." She held her breath as if to prepare herself for something. "There's something I really need to clear up. We fully accept we have wronged you, but I really do not want your apology. You should know that was never the intention. We framed it remote, but that's not the case. It's not like we were asking, Delegate Angeline. To be honest, it sure looked like you did." "Exactly. But please, you must consider everything we had suggested to you. It never stemmed purely from anger. It was simpler than that. It was. That's all you need to remember. All I had to do was give you a yes." Her voice has shattered. "All I want is the ability to feel like I do now." "Regret? Just hear me out. Your father, he wasn't the man you thought he was, Jake," she said, taking a break as if it were a marathon. "He was dangerously deep into his investments. He was in so much debt that he was absolutely drowning, and we had no way of lifting him out. When we found out about the inheritance, it was like, well, when we first discovered the money, it felt like a glimmer of hope. It felt like our chance to finally repair things. But by that stage, it was too late. It felt like my head was spinning inside a chopper. The emotion that crossed my face was bizarre. So what? You truly believe that taking my life would offer some semblance of balance to your mundane world? That I was nothing but a pawn who could be sacrificed for peace to prevail? No," she shouted, irritatingly. "We didn't mean to get to that point. We believed we could. We thought we could. We intended for the accident to simplify things, help us get a clean exit." "You were getting a clean exit?" I threw up at her while choking. "You actually thought that pretending as if I died was a clean way to break free?" The desperation in her pleas traveled through the receiver raw and truthfully. I did not care. Not about this. Not anymore. "I was afraid, Jake," she said, almost inaudibly. "Your father was losing his sanity. He was about to walk out. Nate was a prisoner of his own chaos with the business. We thought that we could make it better if we just moved on." I stood there, slowly absorbing all that I had no idea about. Everything I thought I knew about my father having been a rock-solid, strong-headed man came crashing down. The role model I cherished was just a shell of a person. He was a coward and a fraud who brought us all down with him. And Nate, my brother, with whom I spent my childhood and who was my biggest supporter, was equally culpable. Even he, out of his own hopelessness, was a part of the conspiracy. "What is it that you wish for at this moment, Mom?" I asked, lowering my voice to the coldest tone I could without raising suspicion. "Am I meant to forgive you just because you were frightened? Because you longed for something desperately?" "I didn't expect any forgiveness, especially now, so thanks," she said in a soft, broken tone. "But I need you to understand. We surely didn't hate you. It was just that we lost ourselves somewhere." I wanted to query something along the lines of, "Am I meant to call the coppers now?" But my mind got a bit stuck. Ultimately, there is a slither of me which deeply wants to scream, to tell her that losing themselves didn't justify everything they had done. This simple matter is that I, a part one truly despise, understood. Desperation and fear do terrible things to people. That too, within ordinary circumstances. I had seen it in their eyes at the trial. How my father trembled, how my mother was clinging to him as charges were read. As they were not monsters, but rather broken. But that doesn't make them the innocent party. "I cannot forgive you," I said at last, my voice hoarse. "Not for this. I don't know if I ever will." In silence, she didn't say anything, and it felt like she was bracing herself for my answer, yet hoped for something else. "I understand," she whispered. "I just wanted you to know. I needed you to hear the truth." I didn't answer. I wasn't ready to accept her reality, so I disconnected, her sobs still resounding long after the call was over. The following day, I went to the site of my faux funeral. It wasn't lost on me how ironic it was that I stood in front of the empty grave with my name inscribed on the marker. I came here expecting to feel something, but all I felt was numb. The family I knew was gone. The people they had become were as skeletons buried in prisons along with whatever humanity they had left. Staring at my own name, I realized that forgiveness was not something I could give. Perhaps never. But perhaps I could learn to coexist with it. I walked away from the gravesite without glancing back. The path forward felt murky, and unanswered questions swirled within me. Will I ever be able to fully break free from my family's betrayal?